Michigan wins the national championship. That's right, 69-63. It is over in Indianapolis as the confetti rains through the air, and the Wolverines are celebrating their second national championship in basketball, their first since 1989 with this 6-point victory. Woo! I mean, give yourself a pat on the back. Congratulations to all of the loyal Maize and Blue basketball fans. And congratulations to Michigan on a great season. They were awesome all year long. They did it, and they're at the top of the mountain, and it is amazing. It is something that you dream about, and then you watch it happen, and you just take it all in. How about that? Thanks for joining us here. This was a game where it was Michigan's defense that kept them in all year long. They had one of the best defenses in the country. They needed their defense tonight. I thought that's what won it for them. They also were excellent at the free throw line, making 25 of 28 free throws. Didn't make a three-pointer at the half. I'm sitting there, Michigan, would they have a 4-point lead at the half? But they were 0 of 8 from downtown, and they didn't look, good offensively. But you don't look good offensively. You don't hit any threes, and you're sitting there at the break, you're not shooting well. And you're thinking, you know what? They're in a pretty good spot, because you imagine that they would hit some threes. They ended up only making 2 of them. And so one by Cadeau and then one by McKinney. And I would go to the sequence where McKinney hit the three-pointer as the biggest moment. If you want to take it back a little bit, the biggest sequence, like I said, of the game, you're sitting there and watching Gale loses the ball. Connecticut chases it down. I think it's Terrace Reed, throws it into the Connecticut player who goes up. And I think it was Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney was there. I don't know if he got a piece of it. He swatted it. He could have blocked it. I don't know if he got credit for that. I couldn't tell. I went back and watched it quickly during the break because I went to a timeout. But he certainly waved at it, and he could have blocked it. His defense was there. I think he did block it because he altered the shot. And then he comes down, and then Michigan moves the ball around. Gale finds him for the 3, and he drains it. That's when it looked like, to me, that Michigan was going to win the game. That was the big play of the game to get, Michigan, where there's some tense moments. There's going to be that way. They've inbounded the ball. There were some dicey calls. I mean, if you put the shoe on the other foot, if you're a Michigan fan, and you like to talk about the referees and the whistles and all this, you put the shoe on the other foot. UConn fans, they're going nuts at a lot of the things and everything. But you get through it with Michigan at the free throw line, banging down. I know Gale missed those 2 at the end. Up at that point, you're saying, man, free throw shooting, awesome. But Michigan. Here they are. They're the champs, and this all year long looked like it was going to be a special season. Give it up to Yaks for going out there and playing. I felt bad for him. There he was at the half saying he's playing soft and, he's not in it. I think that's what he said, but he, obviously bothered with the leg injury, but, he made a few plays in the second half. Morris Johnson Jr. played an excellent game. He had 12 points. It was Cadeau. We'll see who ends up being the MOP at maybe they haven't announced that yet. We'll check. We'll keep it there and take a look at it and see what happens. That would be my pick for MOP. I don't care too much. McKinney hit, that big 3. He had 9 points, but this was not Michigan's best game. Dusty afterwards was saying, if you told me this was how it was going to go down, I wouldn't have said we would have been the winners. There's a picture that'll tell you 1,000 words. It's Dusty holding up the trophy, the national championship trophy that Michigan wins. And as a basketball school, very satisfying if you're a Michigan fan to be able to see Michigan take it all the way. The Big Ten had not won a national championship since 2000. And, there's a lot of theories on why they weren't able to do it. And so maybe Michigan had to overcome some of those. But they did, obviously. And, and here they are. Where do you start? You start with May constructing this team and putting it all together. And, they had 5, they're talking about it on the broadcast, 5 transfers in the starting lineup. You like players that come in as freshmen and, like if Will Cheddar stays all the way and everything else. But, the Axel Lendenborg, they can retire his number one day. You loved him from the minute he stepped onto the court, and every time you saw him, and then when you're champ, you're canonized in this entire team. Doesn't matter how old you are, for as old as you get, they're always going to be referencing this team. That's one of the great moments. That's one of the great parts about the championship is this day, this team forever, all of you watching, anybody listening, in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, look at how many, it's, 37 years, still talk about that 89 team, the Fab Five team, just a few years later, they're on the broadcast of the Final Four, they did a great job. And, they didn't win the championship. So this team did. And Final Fours are great. They really are. You go to Final Four, you said, but just Dan Hurley said it. And, Dan Hurley was pretty much kind of reined it in. He wasn't the lunatic that I have watched even in this tournament, certainly all year long. But, he said, the Final Four, you get a watch, the championship, you get a ring, and they get the ring. And, that's what it's about, being able to do that. And Michigan hoops, football just a couple years ago, basketball does it tonight. You get hockey with a shot coming up later this week. It's a great time to be a Michigan fan. And what more can you say about this team that you just look forward now to a parade and you savor it as much as you can, because it was really from the start of the season. There was some there's a lot of, there's going to be criticism from your rival fans and, everything else. And, over the years, I've looked at Michigan basketball fans and, Michigan, you say the football school, whatever else, it could be a basketball school. I always felt it could be a basketball school. But at the very start of the year, when Michigan was playing Oakland, I remember seeing a picture of the students and they were lined up. And a couple hours before the game, all the way back out the back, all the way to the back parking lot. I don't know what the street over there is, down almost to Hoover or whatever. And I'd never seen that before. So, the anticipation of this season, people were looking forward to what Dusty May and company had put together. Now, they had the 2 exhibition games. I watched them. They looked great in those exhibition games. I know they actually lost the first exhibition game, but and then they looked good against St. John's in that second one. But then they had some close games. They're in the Wake Forest, and then there was TCU, and they're turning the ball over a little bit. It was like, hey, this is going to be like last year. And I remember typing out on the Maize and Blue Review that we'll find out a lot about this team in Las Vegas. We'll find out about the point guard and the guards. We were pretty confident. I think everyone was looking at Michigan's front line and what they had. But you're going to find out, will they be able to take care? And then, and they were a complete buzzsaw. They played better than anybody could have imagined, and they were being compared to the all-time greats. And then they took it out of Vegas and they kept it going. They were hammering teams, winning by 30, and they kept going all the way through actually 2025, and even the first game against USC in 2026. They had it was a 10-game block where they played great. Then they had a close one against Penn State. And then they had some close games where against Nebraska and at Ohio State where they played the flip the switch game. And flip the switch game is it makes you a little nervous when you're a fan watching them. The flip the switch is where you play 75% of the game and you don't play really well. The other team's taking it to you, but right at the end you flip the switch and you just make winning plays. And that's great that in the end that you win the games where you're like, this is not, you feel like sustainable. This is not the team that was the buzzsaw in Vegas. But then they had the back-to-back wins against Nebraska, and then they went to Michigan State, and they felt like they were back then. They were back, if they weren't the team that was in Vegas, but at least they were back to being dominant and being able to play that way. And they pretty much sustained that when you think about where they were, being able to go to Purdue. And then they had the Duke game, and I thought the Duke game really helped them. I know there's a lot of people that seem like, arguments about they shouldn't play this game. Certainly not when they played it. I thought it was great when they played it. The caliber of the opponent, I thought it helped them out. Not the very next game against Minnesota, but the next game on the road at Illinois, I thought that helped them out. Where you see a quality opponent like that, especially the way Duke plays. And, Duke gets the calls and, Duke's barreling into you. And Michigan didn't shoot well that game, but, they learned, I thought, in that game. I think you saw it against Illinois and, going on the road, then being undefeated on the road in the Big Ten, winning the Big Ten regular season, getting all the way to that championship game. All of it now, I don't like to lose games. People say maybe it's good that you lose a game. I don't know. Now that they're the champs and you look back and they didn't win the Big Ten tournament, you say maybe that did help them because they had the bad taste and to recalibrate. And then they, going into the tournament, they didn't have a great first half against Howard. I remember thinking at the half, Howard was throwing up a lot of shots. And I was thinking, man, this team doesn't look like they're ready to win a national championship by the way that they're playing. But then really in the second half, they took off. And the reason I liked Michigan to win it all, not that I'm sitting back, patting myself on the back or calling myself a homer or saying anything. I think everybody picked Michigan to win it. But a lot of the reason that I picked them to win it is that I had watched them all year long, and I saw a team that could go 10 games and take no prisoners. And, ruthlessly take it to their opponents. And you need to win 6. And there's not every team out there that can do it. That can win the 6 games like that. Michigan was certainly one of them where they were able to do that. And, the way they went through the field up till tonight, and they didn't blast UConn, but they blasted all the other teams. And then they didn't play their best game. And I know a lot of people, there's some hand wringing. It's like when you don't hit in baseball. You don't hit your threes, you don't look good. But they didn't turn the ball over very much. They have 2 turnovers at the half, and they shot their free throws really well. That kept them in there, and they have found a way all through the year, all the way through the season to there's old Blue Wolverine jumping in all the way through the season to be able to find different ways, whether it was against Alabama, who shot the most threes, or whether it was just a couple games later when you're playing Arizona, who shot almost the fewest amount of threes in all the country. I mean, well, what a opposite ends of the spectrum there. And then, teams that like to play fast, like Alabama, like the fastest pace, and then a team like UConn, who plays at one of the slowest paces. And it was tonight. Now I'm getting going. Now I'm feeling it. I'll credit Blue Wolverine. And let's go. Whoa. It was a UConn pace. Okay, now we're talking. It was a UConn pace And it did not like that. And how many times they played the drinking game, whether it was Raft talking about lingerie on the deck or Grant Hill saying, UConn's hanging around. I think Grant Hill said it 5 times. But he was right. They were hanging around. Hanging around. Like we're in Rounders and you're Matt Damon, and KGP can't get him out of there. He just keeps hanging around. And they were hanging around. And when they banked the 3 in, that was a little dicey. But, here they are into it. Woo! Let's take some of the feedback in this game. Usually I put out the halftime numbers and I'm taking a lot of notes. I was taking the notes in here, but here's the biggest note that I have down. Michigan wins the Natty and they win it 69-63. It's I'm looking through there. Yaxel Lendenborg played serious this season. This is a kind of a weird. This is now I get it. Now I get it. For a second, I was like, why is ESPN being so weird? Because they had this picture of Yax all colored up like the Joker. But then about Yax, and he got a tattoo. I don't know. I think maybe he get it in the offseason. He's got a Joker on his leg. So that's why, they're saying why it's so serious. A takeoff. I guess I had to talk it through myself. Here we go. John Beeline getting a huge ovation from the Michigan crowd. The Michigan crowd was pretty awesome. I couldn't tell initially, but I could tell when they had the introductions and they introduced Dan Hurley. I heard a lot of boos. I said, that's the Michigan crowd really giving it to him. Now that's it. Here's more Michigan. Get here. Oh yeah, that's going right to the computer so everybody can hear that, huh? There they are down there with the national champs. Now I got Barb Barker. Are they cutting down the nets? Oh, they're doing something. They're taking the trophy around. Pretty nice with the crowd down there. Everything. The Wolverines reaching the mountaintop and getting it done. The folks that were here, I'll thank all the people all year long that came in on the Michigan basketball postgame live show. Cy Homer is one of them. That's somebody that I recognize. A special shout out goes to Not Ripstar. Satisfying. He says, we are the champions and hail Michigan. Brandon, a true Michigan fan, saying national champs. It's just fun to look at. In all caps from the NRS. We are champions. Mark saying that, hey, got him. The mayor of Facebook, Matthew, hail yes, national champs. Hail of a season. One I'll never forget as a fan. No, you won't. You will never forget it. And I hadn't thought of this, but, they did do a behind the scenes documentary on this Michigan team from the very start. Whoever was in charge of the doc and all of that, and they got it. They get Michigan to the finish line, and they're the champs. And they have to be giving themselves a high five. Hey, we followed Michigan, and now we'll do it. Let's go. There is probably some champ. This the Borg is here. I got to, Yaks, even Yaks playing. It was awesome just having his presence out there. But obviously, I was surprised at one point, they didn't take him out at all. He was, he was so sad at the half, and he did make a play. But when he shot the air ball, you had to say, man, you had to think. I was thinking maybe they shouldn't even have Yaks in there at all, but they did. I got some confetti. I went to the blew in there some dust, some confetti dust. I scooped up some of that confetti when Michigan won the Big Ten championship outright. Actually, they did it at Illinois, but they celebrated it. They waited a couple games until the Sunday, which was a finale. They waited, and then it was a game against Michigan State, and Dusty. They were going to have a championship. They were going to raise the banner and everything else. But Michigan beat Michigan State, and it made it that much more special. Being able to beat sweep Michigan State this year, sending them back up to East Lansing, Tom Izzo, and then have the confetti raining down, raise up the banner, cut down the nets. It was a great night there on that Sunday in Ann Arbor. But, I got some of the confetti that was raining down, and at when Michigan made the Final Four, I went to it, but I think it's time to, spray it out a little bit more. There you go. A little bit more confetti. Well, am I going to be able to work the controllers? I don't know. It's Michigan won the championship. What are you going to do? Going to have some fun all the way through. We've got an infiltrator trying to spoil the Natty. Old Keel. It should say heel 381. I got news for you, heel. They did it. And who cares about your thoughts? Nobody cares about anything that you have to say. I find it humorous. Look, I get rivals. They get upset, their butt hurt and everything else. But this part about bought, not developed, how you play the game right now, whatever team you root for, your little funny face that's on there, you're an idiot. I'm going to tell you that from everybody out there. But if it makes you feel good on a night where whoever you root for, it's probably a State fan, let's be honest. I don't know. You kind of look like a State fan. But you know how much you're going to any kind of anger, any kind of backlash, or the bought not developed, it's making everybody just laugh. You just have to say that. Enjoy your off season being on the computer and talking about not getting it done, Keel. Whew. You're a miserable MOB. That's the only thing I can say about you. That's pretty. It was awesome, heel. It was so great to have all the transfers. I hope they have all transfers next year. It was great. Old heel can't handle. He's got a big smile, but he's not smiling. He's sitting there crying. He's crying. You brought in all transfers yourself, you clown. What are you talking about? We'll just skip over the rest of old heel. Old Cheese, John. He went into the Final Four with Margs and some cheese pizza. We'll find out where he was tonight. Chase 54, he's in. He's got the maize and blue emojis working. Thank you for joining us all season long with the championship season. They're all there to go back and watch some of them. I don't know how long YouTube keeps those up, but it feels like maybe they'll be up there forever. Maybe I should burn the entire season. I missed 2 games this year. One of them was when the Michigan hockey team, I was tapped on the shoulder. They needed me to fill in down the list. They couldn't get anybody to go to Wisconsin as a color analyst for Michigan hockey when they went to Madison. And when they asked, I said, yeah, of course I'll do it. I'd love, broadcasting games. I mean, okay, twist my arm. But immediately I went to the schedule and I looked and it said Michigan, Duke, and DC. But I had to do it. And I did. So I missed that one. And then the other game, my friend, about 3 weeks before it was a Michigan Penn State game. And it was the second one. I don't think it was the first one. It was the second one at home. And he said, he had won some Piston tickets behind the Piston bench. And I said, I'll go. And then immediately I went to the schedule. I'm hoping Michigan's not going to play. Of course they were playing. But so I missed 2 of the games. All the other games, we were here after all of them. Yeah, UConn were like gremlins. I mean, it was, that's it. When it's a championship, sometimes they're blowouts and everything else, but, sometimes you get a fight. And, yeah, it made it pretty tense. It was not, like I was saying at the start, I don't know if I felt at any point, because you also had in the back of your mind that UConn came back on Duke like they did. I watched that game, was sitting there and, watching Duke have it slip through their fingers into the final play. And so, Michigan always had, they had a little bit of a cushion, but once they were getting ready to look like they would put a stranglehold on it and get it into double figures, and it even got to 11 a couple times, at least once, twice, you're thinking, okay, if coming in for the knockout blows is going to be it. That's when UConn, they just would not go away, and then they would cut it to 6. But and then what did it get down to 4? I mean, a little nail biting. And then Gale missed some free throws, but it was already pretty late then. The McKinney sequence was there. BK says they wanted a rock fight. We gave it to them and won. It's impressive when you can win playing all the different styles, fast, slow, 3-point shooters, post, bunch of guards, all of that. DB, you are correct. The free throw shooting saved Michigan 25 of 28. And you guys can all see our one Spartan fan who's in here. Oh, it's enjoyable for me. I said I wouldn't take anymore, but I kind of hope you stay around. You're continuing to pound the keyboard. What are Michigan fans? I think all Michigan fans love it. I mean, everybody's elated. Everybody loves every single player that came in on the team. They love them all. They're great. All the transfers. We love them. Just because all your transfers sucked, so, and then they pick up the narrative, but we'll say, oh, but Michigan's okay. It's great. I haven't tried to be even, I know your name's even heel, whatever, but, I try to be, is there a point to, Michigan, being with the mercenaries and all this? And I have to say, being as level-headed even on all of it, absolutely not. Michigan is playing the game the way it's supposed to. Dusty came in 2 years ago. He has been able to attack the portal. He has been able to use NIL. He's been able to bring in, it wasn't so long ago that we were sitting around here talking about, when Juwan was here, he's like, Michigan can't recruit juniors. They can't bring in transfers from overseas because of some kind of, they can do it, but it's very difficult because of the strictness of credit transferring. It's the same thing. Credits transferring. It's why they can't get any juniors. And then it's like they're not going to be able to compete. Remember, as Jawan was here, and Terrence Shannon wanted to come in, and Shannon was like, "Wait, I got to go to summer school and have like take like 15 credit hours. He's like, Illinois is like, come on in. You don't have to do anything. So he went to Illinois. And then he had almost had Love at Arizona, and he struck out on both of those. Those guys are both excellent players. And he struck out, and then Michigan fans were like, this sucks. They can't get any, the new rules blow. They can't get any transfers. And then what was the other part about that? Oh, that they're not going to be able to get any money and the support. I mean, it's basketball. Football is gobbling up all the cash. And then Dusty came in, and I don't know how Dusty did it. I mean, Dusty, he identified the players to be able to get them. And then, he had Vlad that he brought along with him. That was great. But he's picked some guys. He's talking about transfers. He's picked some guys. Nobody was sitting around. I saw Danny Wolf last year in the tournament, but I wasn't sitting around thinking, oh, Danny Wolf, what a tremendous player. I can't wait for them to bring him in. And he was great. And it was the same thing with Cadeau. Cadeau was great today. And, Mara was great all season long. Even your Sparties, Heel, you guys could have had those guys. Anybody could have had them. Would you be sitting here if you actually had those guys and brought them in? Would you be crying about, oh, we brought in these transfers? No, you brought in 4 too. They just all sucked. I don't know if they all sucked, but they, they got you to where you guys kind of are, where you max out now. You guys max out at the Sweet 16. It's a good year for you. A very good year for you. You guys are never going. You're lucky to get into the tournament. You got your tournament streak. Enjoy your tournament streak with all your homegrown players. I gotta say, you got the dirtiest bastard of all time on your team, and you guys sit around crying about other, oh, Michigan's bringing in transfers, and you got this nasty, dirty player who kicks guys with the balls and donkey kicks them, and then tries tripping players up. What a dirty ass team you got that you root for, and you got to come out here with Michigan's championship. That's it for you. Ty has been someone who joins the Michigan basketball postgame live shows. It's great to see him. The GSY is having a good time. Jennifer, is this the Jennifer Smith 2902? M54? I hope so. Yeah, Cadeau was awesome. I'm actually hoping Cadeau was the MOP. I don't know. Was it before the Final Four? I didn't do much gambling. Actually, I didn't get in any pools or anything like that. But so I spent my $10, $20 took a couple long shots. I didn't bet Michigan, but along the way, I don't know when it was, I think it was before the Final Four, I was looking for some long shots, and I picked Cadeau to be the MOP. It was like 50-1. So hopefully that's what happened. It'll even make the greatest night even that much better. That's it. Uh-oh. Is that right? DB, the announcer of great news. Perfect. Those Cokes, you put them on ice, you got to drink them fast. They get watered down. Let's do it. Not the cartel, not the Mexican style, but still pretty good. Pure sugar. What are you going to do? Michigan stays winning. Dirge. Really need to work on three-pointers. Never mind. Yeah, all of it. Everything. They answered it at every turn, prevailed, were able to get there. Yeah, there's some, the part where it looked like it wasn't going to happen was, I think for a lot of people, and it's understandable looking back, when LJ Kaysen went down against Illinois. Went down, it was a Friday, and, you find out that he's out for the season. And he was just playing so great. I mean, he was playing awesome. And, this team, obviously, we know that. We say, obviously, I mean, they're sitting here, we're celebrating a national championship, but you're like, this is a team that is built and is deep, and they're just in the bench and Kaysen and Cadeau, the 1-2 punch. Are you kidding me? And there were some people that are like, that's going to be, and again, you understand, if you didn't have at least a thought for a second running through your mind, but you really, you give it up to Cadeau. He didn't have the insurance policy behind him, and the way he played when Kaysen went down, he ratcheted up his game. And then the bench, if we're going to be honest, Roddy Gale Jr., he played all right in the first half of 2025. I don't know when you started watching him and you're like, whoa, Roddy. But then Roddy's like the streakiest player I've ever watched. The majority of last season, I didn't like what I saw from him. But then I saw him score the 26 in the tournament. You're like, oh, hey, Roddy, it's marked Roddy. And then he started out the season where he wasn't half bad, but then he went back and he looked like the Roddy of last year. But when Kaysen went down, he stepped up, and he was pretty good tonight. Another put back jam, and he's a big contributor. He's a big reason why Michigan is standing in the winner's circle. And then McKinney. The announcer, Eagle, the one point where McKinney just drove in, it was the free throw line. And again, he had the biggest shot when he hit the three, Michigan's second three. They only hit two. I thought that was the biggest shot of the game. But McKinney hit one from the free throw line where he put a move on it. Eagle's like, that's a pro move. And I was thinking, you're damn right. That was a pro move. He's pretty awesome. But, Michigan didn't get him through the transfer portal. So, I don't know. He is awesome. Yeah, Joe, you are right. Morez played a great game. You were worried about the free throws. Cadeau, MOP. Blank name's been here all along. They really played a C- game. The rebounding was horrendous. Yeah, well, credit the other team when it comes down to it, right? And as much as Michigan went cold and started out ice cold, 0 of 8, 0 of 9, and then they only hit 2 of 15. You said, hey, what if Michigan shoots 13% from downtown? Be like, whoo, I don't know. What's the rebounding going to look like? Well, they're going to get out rebounded by 7 and only shoot 13% from from 3-point lane. Be like, that's not going to be a very good recipe for Michigan winning. But that's, you slow the pace down. But then my point is that then UConn went pretty cold too. Jim, you're right. The defense won this championship. And that's what they say, defense wins championships. That came true tonight. That's it. As bad as Michigan shot, they could have beaten this team 7 out of 7 times. We got to coming in on it even looks good on the watch. I guess you can't see it. Oh, maybe you can. I don't. Vin is saying Michigan would have beaten this team 7 out of 7. That's a lot. Would they have swept UConn if they said, all right, now you got to play a 7-game series? I don't know. I'd take Michigan in 5, especially after watching tonight. But, I get why you'd say sweep. Not a college basketball player at Ohio State will know what it's like to win at college basketball. Oh, that guy was a Ohio State fan. Thanks for fumbling Roddy Gale Jr. up here. That was nice. Was I laying it on to a Ohio State fan thinking he was a Michigan State fan? Well, you're acting like a Michigan State fan, so you'll have to pardon me. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. Thanks, BK. Pretty awesome. That's it. When it's there, it's awesome. Joe asking the question if I feel sorry for Buckeye and Spartan fans. No. I don't really care. I don't play the rub their nose in it, to hell with them kind of thing. But I mean, I didn't think Ohio State fans have anything to say this year. Their team sucked. And then, with Michigan State, you find out you got to create a narrative to make yourself feel like you can sleep at night, and that's, I think, what they've been doing now. Maybe they've done it for their whole life, but, now that Michigan's, winning in football, it's, they have to, or they'll just implode. I think they're going to implode anyways. Oh, that's it. When it comes down. Rand, thank you for getting in there. Is that Ron or Ran? I guess I can't tell if that's an A. I'm going to say, I like the name Rand. I like the name Ron. Got an Uncle Ron. Ron's a big name in my family. So that's it. Let's see. Old, Sam. Thank you. That's it. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome here to go through it all. What else can we say as we walk on through? We've got hundreds of people. It's a championship. Are you staying up all night? Oh, was that S Lion? That's my guy. Gotta look and find him. There he is. Oh wait. Dynasty Lion. Dude, you are not on the team. Stop celebrating like you won something. Stop. You talking to me? There's somebody trying to tell me, I don't know. Maybe are you talking to me? Stop celebrating like I won something? Who are you talking to? That makes no sense to me. You're telling me that if I took it that you were talking to me, that Michigan just won a national championship for the first time in 37 years, and you're telling me to stop celebrating like you won something. I thought, and I don't know, Dynasty Lions. I might be out of line here, but I thought the stupidest person tonight was this other guy that was on here, and you just came right over the top. That is, you were looking for it. You found it, but maybe you're talking to somebody else, and I'm out of line here. That's what's going on, I think. Or if I nailed it, you're just some big dummy. I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to look a little bit more. Blue Wolverine, what are we talking about here? Mar says he's your guy. Oh, he's talking to all the fans. You're just fans. You didn't win anything. I got news for you, DL. You're a sad person. The trolling isn't affecting anybody that just won a national championship. We have to explain fandom to you about how you're going to try to enjoy it. I'll think of you, DO, when I go to the parade and Michigan's coming down and everybody's screaming and celebrating and enjoying themselves and, singing the victors and all that. I'll think of, old Dynasty Lion said, stop celebrating like you're on the team. That's pretty good. I don't know, all year long, I get the, the whole thing of, rivals and trash talk and all of that. So, Michigan was pretty lucky when it came down to it. It was really. Wait a second, another one for the Blue Wolverine. Wait. This is really turned out to be a great post-game show. Well, Michigan only wins a national championship every once 30, 40 years. So, you get it. How about that? I'm having a very good time there. Thank you, Keegan. There's Keegan. Cut from a different cloth, saying good night to Heel. Have a great night. But we did have our buddy. Here he is. He's back. He said, "Wait a second. Are you a Lions fan? Are you coming in talking trash? You're probably a Lions Spartan fan. Let's be honest. Coming in here, but I mean." What happens if I know it's hard, but it's actually something over the last 5 years that they used to be, laughable, like somebody that would be a Lion fan talking about winning or something. But then, they look like you're the best team in the NFL for a year or two, 2 years, 1 year. But could you imagine the Lions winning something and then somebody going up the old Dynasty Lions and saying, "Hey, shh, you didn't win anything." Oh my gosh. BK's watching SportsCenter and he's saying they're having a funeral for UConn, barely talking about the 26 champs, the Michigan Wolverines. It reminds me of there's a couple of things. You can be a fan and you can hunt out guys like Dynasty Lions or Heel that comes in there. You can enjoy, the fruits of Michigan winning it, blasting these guys. You can have the last laugh on them. I mean, Michigan won the national championship, but there'll be folks, and you can do this. That this will be something that people love to do. You hunt out the coverage. And you blast the people that aren't just, giving Michigan full props nonstop all the time. And I don't know, what ESPN and it's UConn, and they're not giving it up to Michigan. I'll take your word for it. I can remember when the Red Wings, were a dynasty. I don't know, the Dynasty Lion. I don't know if you're a Red Wing fan or, I could talk about them but because they're a Detroit team or something. You can talk about pro sports. My point was that they had won the Stanley Cup, and Sidney Crosby was a rookie or second year or whatever. And in the offseason, Gary Bettman had shoved Sidney Crosby down everybody's throat. And Red Wing fans are like, "Hey, a second, we just won the Stanley Cup. Why do we have to, have this guy shoved down our throat?" And everybody was hunting that out. They didn't like that the way. But I liked when, I don't have Sirius radio. Actually, our radio doesn't work in the car right now. It hasn't for like 2 years, but when I had Sirius radio, I had it after the national championship game, and I don't even remember the circumstances. I had to do a lot of driving that day, all day next day. So it was Tuesday after the Natty, the football Natty. Sorry, not the basketball Natty, the football Natty, just a couple of years ago. But every show talked about Michigan. And they talked about them all day long, and I think every 2 hours, certainly every 4 hours, they had new hosts over there, and they just went over it again, all of their thoughts on the football Natty. And I say the victory laps, if you can find people, you can hunt out and say, "Why aren't you talking about Michigan? Well, how about the props for Michigan?" And here's my advice: if you're doing that and you're listening to a sports show, especially because you're expecting, like, let's hear it, how great Michigan is, and you hear some dudes that are trying to rain on your parade a little bit. Parade's going to be Saturday, but they rain on your next day enjoyment, and you'll say, this son of a piss guy. I would say turn them off. Just get them out of there, find something else. There'll be a lot of, I would think, podcasts and things that you can search out where people are going to talk Michigan basketball. Michigan basketball is now on top of the world. And Michigan basketball right now, they don't look like they're going anywhere. This was not Michigan lucking into anything. This was a coach who has demonstrated now. It happened fast. You got to give him that. But he showed that he could come in last year and put together a team from all over the place. And with how the rules are going, pull them here, pull them there, and put them in, and then get them out on the floor. And man, he can coach. He can put the team together. He's got it. And then obviously he came back and even went over the top and did it this year. So I don't think this is, even though I tell everybody cherish it. Let's just sit. But for a moment, would it surprise me if Michigan was back next year? Trying to go back to back, it would not. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. They showed the graphic. What was the graphic? I forget. 8 out of the 9 last teams that, or something like this. 8 out of the 9 last defending champs didn't make it past the Sweet 16, or didn't make it to the Sweet 16. Florida got beat by Iowa this year. It was something crazy like that. But I don't, I don't half blame like a guy. I guess you're a clown, dynasty, and the other guy's gone. But I don't blame you so much because you're probably not watching this show all year long, or you don't listen to what Dusty May has to say about the transfer portal and the players and what they're looking for and how they came together. It's of course really cheap and it's stupid to just have a narrative about throwing it. And I'm not saying you did, Dynasty. It was the other guy. Looks like your angle is don't celebrate your favorite team winning a Natty because you weren't on the team. I mean, that's stupid in its own right. But if I go back to the other guy who was trolling, it's that when you listen to Dusty talk about it, like if all the guys on the Michigan team, if they don't feel like they're in the right spot, or if they're comfortable, or they want to move on to go somewhere else to get more time, or whatever it is, Dusty just wishes them good luck. And then he's going out and looking for players that, fit they say culture, the program, however you want to put it. And he has shown that he is a master at doing that. And so right now, not Dynasty, you might not want to hear this, but you probably don't. You don't want to hear anything. You don't want to hear anybody talking about, what are we supposed to do? For a second, Michigan won the Natty. Don't celebrate it too much. Actually, you guys weren't on the team. Let's not celebrate it too much. What happens is that Dusty, what he's doing here, he's part general manager. You can see the X's and O's and what he's been able to do with all of that. But I'm impressed just overall with his handle on and how to, with the rules and where they're at, be able to, one coach and just pull the different players in. And then, the offense that he runs, it seems like a thing of beauty. And, how the players, how he allows the freedom of how they play offensively, and then how he allows their personalities to come out off the floor, even on the floor. He seems like he's got all of these angles that you need to have in modern basketball. He's got them covered. Whatever his basketball IQ is, I don't think there's anybody that has a high, there's a lot of great coaches. The guy he was going against tonight, but I can recall, and I'm going all over the place, but I remember when John Beilein was coaching for a while, I thought, the only thing with John Beilein is he's got to show his teeth a little bit more. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. He's got to get after these refs. He's got to trash them a little bit. Look at all these other guys, like Tom Izzo. Act like a lunatic. It works. It gets you the call. Stick up for your players. And Beilein, didn't do that. And if there's two things that Dusty was criticized by the fans this year, there's not much to criticize him. And when things are going great, the old, like, let's just trust Dusty. It looks like he's got a doing pretty good. Let's, you still, even if things are going great, you're going to say, hey, I wish he would do this or wish he would do that. The two things. One was that he didn't yell enough at the referees. There were plenty of people that thought he needed to get after these refs a lot more. My feeling is that you have to be yourself and you have to have your own personality. If Dusty's not a screamer and yeller and doesn't want to get up in the face of the referee, he has a different angle, a tact that he thinks is going to work. Not necessarily with the squeaky wheel getting the grease, but going over at a timeout and, saying not only his piece, but making his point and trying to get it across and seeing if he can engage the referee and connect and make his point to maybe get a call. You're doing that later, and some of the fans don't see that. So I don't know. That was the one thing that he comes out at the end, and I don't think that anybody should criticize him for that anymore moving forward. Myself included, which I really wasn't, but I did back in the day with Beeline. But when you win and you're doing this, you look back, can you as a fan or an observer of basketball say, hey, you know what? Dusty's a hell of a coach. I don't think he needs to go over there and bark at the officials and act like Dan Hurley, put his forehead up into somebody's face. Do your thing. And the other thing is that was the one criticism. The other one is that, Dusty didn't call timeouts. The other teams were making the runs. Wisconsin, he didn't when they were, draining 4 or 5. There might have been, a couple other games, even the games that they won, people wanted to see him do it. I don't know. That when it comes down to it is situational. And the situation is if Michigan wins, then you want to criticize it and say, you can say, well, they won. I think that one will stay out there because if, I think it's the one, not that it's fair, but it'll just still stay out there. All right, let's take some more feedback. Let's do it. As we have almost 1 hour in the books of this national championship post-game live as we do it. He's got a lot of go blue. Yeah, I think I am. I think Rip's probably right. There's a little bit of a sugar rush in what's going on here. Keegan, respect to UConn. When Terrace Reed threw that early going, a couple shoulder fakes, a little hezzy, and a little hook, I was thinking, whoa, I don't remember all that. What are you going to put in the Borg? Take a break, put some wine. I don't put any wine in there. I would, I guess there, we do have some. I made my nephew a gin and ginger beer drink. I could end the live and put some gin and ginger beer in here. I don't know. I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to Florida. I don't know. I don't know about chugging the Borg. I'm celebrating. It's my celebration right here. This is it. It is the sugar. You don't have a lot of sugar, and then you get some sugar. It is, you can understand why somebody can throw the word diabetes at you. There you go. Cut from a different cloth going at Dynasty Lion says, you didn't win anything and you didn't even go to U of M. I did. Ooh. I mean, well, I think he's kind of knocked you down a peg or two there. Oh, I didn't. Can I block somebody? Can I block someone? Like, how many blocks did Michigan have in this game? It seemed like at one point I didn't do any tweeting. I go on the live feed. I said some things about Michigan's defense, and a couple times I was going to say some things about the officials. I didn't. But at one point I was going to say, it's a block party. It seemed like Michigan was throwing a lot of shots. 6 blocks. Yaks had a block. Morez Johnson had 2 blocks. Mara had a block. Roddy Gale with 2 blocks. See, they don't have McKinney with a block. And McKinney, I thought he waved at the ball and he at least altered that he didn't make the shot. But I couldn't tell because he swung his arm. McKinney's awesome. Zaime. Those who stay will be champions. Terrace Reed Jr. didn't. Yeah, he didn't. I like Terrace Reed. I liked him when he was at Michigan. The team won 8 games and his coach left. You can kind of understand why somebody would leave. Pour some milk on my face. Woo! Yeah, just pour a little confetti on the. See how that goes. Not the. Whoa! Dynasty Lion is a Michigan grad. You didn't win as fans. In your world, would you have the team win and the fans? What do you do when you go to a game? Like, oh, maybe you don't go to. I don't understand. Are you some cyborg? Are you somebody that's been sent? Are you somebody from China that is masquerading as a Detroit sports fan, or now saying you're a Michigan grad, and then on a celebration, on a post-game live after Michigan wins the national championship for the first time in 37 years, you're telling people, like, you didn't win anything. It was the team. Don't celebrate. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Torrance. Let's see if he makes any sense. He says that Michigan was more seasoned, more experienced, battle-tested. This is how it should be. National media never picked them. Put some respect on that name. Michigan, he says. I don't know. Did the national media never pick them? It was I did see, these are popular things. The fans love this. The fans love nothing more than when ESPN has their roundtable, like the Lee Corso, and and they're all picking, and they all pick against Michigan. Everybody takes a screenshot, and then Michigan wins. And I did see one of those type deals. I don't know who they were. I think it was ESPN. And they were all making their picks, and they all picked Arizona, but there were only 3 or 4 of them. So I get it. I thought Michigan got their props all year long. In fact, I thought when they were in Vegas, I almost thought people were going overboard a little bit on it. This is the greatest team ever. And it was the national media. Certified lame. I'm kind of buying that. Don't be happy if your team wins because you didn't play. It's a weird, it's just a weird thing to. I'm trying to, you try to cut through. You get like the guy that was here earlier. He was a State fan, Ohio or Michigan. I don't know, Michigan State, Ohio State fan. He's trying to needle you, trying to maybe take some of your enjoyment. You understand that. It sucks when most people, you have to admit that when their team wins, they're ecstatic, and then when the rival loses, it's almost as fun. So, but when the shoe's on the other foot, it's not a lot of fun. Seeing the team that you hate win. So you have to get somebody getting in here and trying to spoil a celebration. But I don't understand where Dynasty Lion, he's not a fan of sports. He went to Michigan, but he's chastising people. What? Again, I'm going to have to say that I think you're an AI creation. Here he is, Dynasty Lions again. He hates fans who think they won. Michigan just won, and the fans won because Michigan won. Celebrate the players, not your head, Joy. Celebrate the players. All right, I'll do it. I'm going to take it from you. Let's go down the lineup. Let's start with Yaks and celebrate Yaxel Lendenborg. It's a very interesting name. I was watching a video from Yaks. Yaks is like Mr. Video. He had, I don't know, 500,000 on his live. I came across his live. Was it before the Final Four or after the Final Four? Just in the last week. And he was on the live, and I think his running partners are Roddy Yale and a junior and McKinney. They always seem to be around in his lives and everything else. They're all looking what's going on. So they were just sitting there. It looked like they were out to eat, but then they had brought somebody in, and I don't know who this lady was. It looked like a lady, and I don't think she spoke English, but I don't think they understood what language she was speaking. But they were having fun with her. She looked like she was having fun. And they were having fun, but I didn't really get what was going on there. But Yaks is kind of a joker. He's funny. I saw somebody take a shot in one of the messages on Yaks about him, being a jerk or something. And he's kind of a fun-loving guy. He will say he'll take some shots at some other teams, and but I think it's good-natured. And I say that, you say, "Oh, you're a Michigan guy." I am okay. I'm just trying to be honest about you. But what I don't see, but I saw it from UConn tonight. I want to give them a shout out. But I've seen it from Yaks this year. Yaks will help up an opponent. They're going onto the ground. You see players from the same team, they all run over. Michigan does it. It's a great thing to do. Your teammate goes down on the floor, you rush over and you help him up. Yaks, I saw him help more than one opponent up this year, stick his hand out. It's not something you see. UConn did it tonight. I liked it. You don't have to do it. It's good sportsmanship, obviously. All of a sudden, this got the confetti railing down. Dan Hurley. I don't know if we need to take shots at him like that, but there we go. Michigan is Husky killers. Washington Huskies, UConn Huskies. Oh, there it is. That's it. Sam was sweating, he says. This one wasn't in the bag until very late. I mean, it wasn't, Teddy, what are we saying? It wasn't one that you're just sitting by saying, hey, Si's like, what's up? Well, let's discuss the game. I'm there. Let's do it. Did I have hair on my head the last time Michigan won? Yeah, I did. Absolutely. I don't know. Do I have any pictures from 1989 in my phone? A friend of mine recently sent a picture of me, and I'll show it to you. I'm going to go down to the bottom, ask some questions about what's up. I mean, we could sit here all, oh, wow. Oh, we got to go. If we're going to Michigan Go Blue 1324, we got to give him props. I think if I went back to the very first game this year, I think that Michigan Go Blue 1324. Now, I don't think he was Michigan Go Blue 1324 at that point. He was Michigan Go Blue 1234, and then at some point he changed to, instead of 1234, 1324. But we caught him because we understood. He wasn't trying to be evasive. I don't know what happened. He just changed some things up, but he had the same picture. And then you can tell how people comment. Like if Not Ripstar came in here and went away from Tupac and put Biggie up there, but was talking about chugging the Borg and like the live and, Free Luigi. I mean, you would know who he is. It happens. You can figure it out pretty quick. Chase is awesome. Did I bring back some hair? So we'll see what people on the game exactly. Oh, we're getting some. What's this one? I hate Dusty May, and y'all know that 5-5 energy was to neutralize the Hurley intimidation tactic. So glad. Uh, I don't. I don't. I, this guy. I don't even want to try to deconstruct that one. But the first thing when he says, "I don't like Dusty May," it's like I don't like you. A college basketball championship, a parade, and the spring football game. Yeah. Now I can say this. I'm a little bit older now. And so, you tend to want to stop and smell the roses a little bit more. This basketball tournament heading into it, and actually this season, I was trying to take it all in, stay in the moment, stay present, think about it, not think too far ahead. And I mean, it really filled all of my buckets, whatever those are, and it met all my expectations. It's it was really great. The players on this team, they're I was talking about Yax. Yax is, I didn't know what kind of player he was going to be, but I liked his personality immediately. You listen to him talk again. He's a fun-loving guy. He's got a lot to say. He's kind of a card joker, or whatever else, and yeah, he was, and he was even better than you hear. Well, he does everything. He's a five-tool player. Exactly. He dominated by not being someone who was necessarily selfish. They tried to get him going. They put him down to the post a few times. I wanted to see him do that more this year, but they did it to him. They got him going. And the one point in the second half, you could tell that he said, I gotta will this team to win. I gotta take over. I gotta be aggressive. And you saw him be aggressive, but he just didn't have it in him. But Yaks, I would be in favor of, the 23 is a pretty big number, but I'd be in favor of any kind of accolades for Yaks. He's great. Speaking of great, Morez Johnson Jr. Great. What a great pickup. He was awesome tonight. He had 12 and 10 all over the offensive glass, had 5 offensive, 4 defensive. He had 2 blocks. He had 1 point. There was one part where he picked up a foul in the backcourt. I didn't like that. I thought that's not what you want, but all year long, I like he's tenacious. And the book on Morez Johnson very early, there was a lot of people, and I saw it. You're a Michigan fan, you're a Detroit Piston fan, and you see Isaiah Stewart, you see Jalen Duren, you're saying that Morez Johnson is a combination of those two. He's not letting anyone dunk. He's meeting everybody at the rim. He's going to try to block you. And he's got a developing offensive game. Whether it's shooting threes, which is nothing, he made enough, but some of the post moves, but really when he's running and put back jams, just a true treat to watch play. And I watched him. I've referenced it now 101 times in Switzerland for the under-19 team. And that 6-game run, the first game he came off the bench, he played so well, he was in the starting lineup the rest of the way. I'm watching this guy. It's 90 degrees outside, and these games are being played over in Switzerland, so they're starting at like 11 o'clock, and I'm just watching. I'm like, this guy's great. I just have to take a step back. He's awesome. I would have been if I was an Illinois fan, I would have been so upset because he was decent for them. And then he just left. And then you watch him, and you're like, he's great. And he played that way for Michigan. What a great player. Will he go pro? I don't know. Maybe. I hope he doesn't. But whatever he wants to do, you win a national championship. You feel like people mostly do go and move on. But I don't know what his thoughts are. Maybe he'll want to be like Yaks, who was kind of a fringe first rounder, didn't really know, and then he came back, and it looks like Yaks played himself into being the a lottery pick. Love Morris Johnson Jr. Mara, the chef. He cooks paella. The big Spaniard came in. I wasn't expecting a whole hell of a lot from him. 8-4, 10-5. Boy, that'd be good. But he flashes at times such a deft footwork, and he's not somebody that just he gets it down low. And sometimes you're like, whoa, he's dunking the ball. Of course he catches alley-oops, he's dunking. He's pretty athletic for being a 7'3". And Michigan used him. Boy, the way Dusty and company found ways to get him the ball and had him utilizing his skills, just masterful all around that. And Mara's another one who appears to have a great personality. Props to the chef. And if he goes pro, good luck to him. We get to Cadeau. Cadeau, who is named MOP. I'm glad he did not. This was some good officiating. It was early in the game. Was it the and one? He came around, spun it off the glass. It was great. But he started screaming. I mean, he wasn't right in his face, but he was, I don't know, 3-4 feet. Player was on the baseline. He was telling him whatever, in your face. Who knows what he was saying? But I was like, whoa, 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 maybe not too much of that. I mean, you could scream, be exuberant and everything else, but you would direct it at a player, you can get teed up. They do it in football all the time. And I think they could do it in basketball. But when he went to the free throw line, I saw that bald ref. The guy was looking pretty good. But he went up and he said something to Cadeau, and I think he said, hey, watch out when you're screaming and celebrating, not that it's directed at a player. That's good officiating. Excellent officiating. But Cadeau, despite the disabilities that he has, food allergy, gave everybody a big scare this last week. He's got a hearing disability, vision issues. And then here he is on top of the world as the most outstanding player in the 2026 Final Four. Came in, ran the show. It's got better and better and better. Culminating with being the MOP. He should be writing a book. Doing something. He's coming back. Namari Burnett. In that starting lineup all year long, had the big outburst. What do you have, 31 against Penn State, the game that I was at one of the games I missed this year, one of the two. Had a 31 piece. Namari, midway through the season, I saw him on a TikTok dancing with this, lovely girl. And then I saw him again with the girl, and the next thing you know, this is Namari's girlfriend. And actually, I think the call, whatever the name of their handle is, whatever Namari and whatever his girl's name is, but they're great. Best of luck to Namari. We'll see you around here for the next 50 years in Ann Arbor. 60, 75, 85, 75, 50 years. Namari will be coming around Ann Arbor for a lot longer than yours truly, and he is beloved. Great job, Namari. Let's look at the bench. You got the two guys there. Trey McKinney. Do you think that Trey McKinney will be a star at Michigan? I think he already is a star. Will he score, I would think he would score 17 a game. It seems like he could be an All-American. It seems like he could be a lottery pick. This guy's the limit for Trey McKinney. He's a walking high ceiling, everything that you want. Everything that when he was coming in, they called him when they were introducing him, McDonald's All-American. He's everything. What else would you want from him? He's got it. And he's coming back. Great job, Trey McKinney. Superstar, Trey McKinney. Michigan wasn't winning the championship without him. Great off the bench. Hit the biggest shot in this game, that second three. And his defense helped alter that shot in the sequence before that. I'm sure they talked about that. Roddy Gale Jr., we mentioned him a little bit early, the up and down, the masterpiece from last year. In the tournament, he was March Roddy is a thing. We'll remember it forever. And as Ray Jackson said on the Fab Five Altcast, thank you, Ohio State, for fumbling Roddy Gale to Michigan. Thank you, Ohio State. Thank you, Heel, for Roddy Gale Jr., which gets us to Will Cheddar. Redshirted and, had some, he really never did contribute much, but he was in. A very vocal team leader. You always, he did a great job afterwards when they were all celebrating when he would lead the team and the victors and everything. He was always, and when they won the championship, celebrating it, they won it at Illinois, but the last game against Michigan State, Chad went up there and cut the net and he got that. Hey, props to the fifth-year senior and everything. Pretty cool when it went down to it. Smash giving it up to Not Ripstar, saying his aura was a factor for this team. All right. I feel a lot better. Kenneth has come back earlier. He said, I hate Dusty May, and I didn't want to really go any further on that. I thought, okay, wait a second. But then he said, no, I meant he hated Hurley, which I completely understand because I hate Hurley too. Although I hate Hurley, but I found that I liked him in this game. He was not, and he had some cause at a few. I mean, we could sit around talking about the whistles all night, but he was not the bombastic idiot screaming every call. The one time when the one dude banked it in, he was over there and showed him. He was smiling, just enjoying it. I went from hating him, heading into thinking like, hey, he coaches like this all the time. Now look, Michigan won, so easy to say. But I liked his sideline demeanor in this game. I thought, he is a great coach. I know that. But no, I didn't want to hear about how great, he was going to be if they won, 3 out of 4 or whatever else. So it's all good now, right? There we go. Everybody having some fun with Kenneth now. Kenneth, he hates Hurley because the Fab Five losing to Duke. We beat his brother. Oh, yeah, Bobby Hurley. Who is no longer coaching, right? There you go. I like it. At a championship celebration. Ooh. This was something I was thinking about. And let's get to it. Give me a couple seconds here. For some reason I can't page back up. There I go. Now I can do it. The New Life. Talking about Spartan fans. You can have some fun with them. Transfer portal opens tomorrow. I didn't know that. Here's what it was. Smash says the one shining moment was elite. I would imagine it would be elite. It was something that I used to hang around for back in the day. I love the even if you took Michigan out of it, which I'm not doing because they were in it and they won it. But even when they would make the tournament, I still love the NCAA tournament. I loved it all. Everything going on. Everything else, even though I like baseball, everything took a backseat to all of the tournament games all the way through. I get it. It's not like that for everyone, but and I used to wait for one shining moment, but they seem like they just kept pushing it back and further back and further back. But now, when you have things like Twitter and TikTok and stuff, YouTube, shout out to YouTube, it's made for those kind of things. A 4-minute clip or whatever it ends up being, 3-minute clip, you can watch it. It's like Saturday Night Live. I'm never the biggest Saturday Night Live fan, but you'd watch it. You're older, but now you just if you watch a clip or two, if it's funny, people will tell you, and they'll, and you'll see it online. That's one shining moment now. I'm ready to look at it now. I wish I had my assistant here loading it up. Blank Name says they could definitely win it next year. Basically, they just lose Yaks, and who knows who they'll add in the portal. Well, they could lose Mara and Morez Johnson Jr. They do lose Gale, and they do lose Burnett. So there you go. I mean, they could lose 4 out of their 5 starters. But right, I mean, it's the great thing about the transfer portal is they can replace them all next week. I said this earlier. I hope the decisions, Morez Johnson Jr., these guys can do anything they want. Ade Mara, you wish them the best. They're canonized. They can come around here. They're beloved. I just want them to make a decision sooner rather than later. If they play it out, wait all the way to the end and go to these camps and everything, all the players will be gone. That's from a Michigan standpoint. It's a little bit, I remember it was like this with Harbaugh and also with JJ. I thought they were both going to go. But they played it out, and it's part of the deal, But you love the guys, but you've at some point you'll get in that mode where you're like, hey, just make a decision. But you also understand that they can do whatever they want, and you wish them the best. What am I going to do here? Oh, I was going to look for one shining moment. I used to have a guy that used to call all the time who went by One Shining Sparty. And you'd say, oh, I hate him. But, he was a Spartan fan. But he was the most fair and optimistic, and he liked both Michigan. He always gave Michigan these props. He was a caller. But I would get on him once in a while. I'd be, stop being so nice. One Shining Sparty, I'd say. You're too nice. And then I kind of, maybe I was even kind of trashed him a few times. Like, just get out of here. You're too nice. And I'd, you dump him. And then one time in the lobby, this lady came back and said, hey, there's a listener up front. Like, oh, okay. And his name's One Shining Sparty. And I'm like, uh-oh, if I want to meet this guy. And then I met One Shining Sparty. One Shining Sparty was like 6'4" giant. One Shining Sparty wanted to take me out after me being pretty rude to him. He could have taken me out really easy, but he didn't. True to his calling profile, he was the same way in person. He was really nice. Oh, wait a second. How's this going to come out? Let's see.
Welcome to the Magistry of March.
Dreams come true in March.
We are set to make some new March memories.
Time to dance.
There's nothing like March Madness.
I cannot wait to get this thing started.
The ball Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You're running for your life.
Nice crossover.
Boo!
Ooh. Ooh, nice dunk. Ooh, slams. Nebraska. That's Sparty. I don't know. What are they putting that dirty SOB on there for? Oh, the sadness. Where's Michigan? I haven't seen one Michigan clip. Oh, I was watching that one. It's a tough one. That was Vanderbilt. Picked them to go to the Final Four. Oh, there's Yaxo. Hawkeyes with the big upset. Oh, there was Yaks again, I think. We're going to get a little bit more. Enough. Oh, a day. I think that was Michigan. Mara coming in here. Oh, Mullins. I'm a little tired of him tonight. Yeah, the runaway train. Oh. Cutting the nets down. Oh, it was a pretty nice dunk, I'd have to admit there. Mullins again, rolling Illinois. Let's get to those Michigan highlights. Here we go. Oh, Yaks. More dunking from Mara, the MOP.
One more hill to climb.
Ooh.
One shining moment.
Oh, there it is. McKinney's big shot. Yeah, there you go.
Hail to Michigan. The Wolverines win the national title.
That's it. Not bad. It was pretty epic.
Michigan finishes.
I don't know when it went to the next one. I'm a little blurry. A little blurry-eyed. Pretty nice. Can we say it could have been more Michigan? Did I say that? And what about that Gale jam over? That's it. Woo! Let's see. I don't know. Maybe it's getting a little late putting some of these up here. That might be a great spot to end it right there after one shining moment. Nice job for all of the folks getting in on the feedback all year long. Thanks so much. There was one, I don't know if it was a post game. Sometimes you come on here. There was one show this year. I didn't think anything was working. There wasn't one person that sent a feedback. And afterwards, it's like, maybe it's over for me. Maybe that's it. But that's not the way it's been on these Michigan post-game live shows. So the people have flooded in their ideas, their opinions. I think you knew that this had the chance to be something special all year long. So you got invested early and you rode this thing out. And there weren't that many bumps in the road. I mean, hell, they only lost 3 games. And they didn't think they were going to go undefeated. So when they lost to Wisconsin, it was like, all right, even though it was at home, a little bit of a surprise. Duke is Duke. You can't go freaking out about that one. And then, losing to Purdue in the Big Ten title game. Yeah. But then when they lost Kaysen, I think that was the one where, you had to get a little bit of a gut check. But this team, at the half of their first game against Howard, they flipped a switch and it stayed on. And they cruised into this championship game. But this was a slog, whatever. It was, you go 0 for 8, and it was a UConn tempo in this game, and they kept hanging around, and you saw what UConn was able to do against Duke. So, and it's for a natty, and you're thinking, man, they could all go away. But what didn't go away is they played great defense. And you listen to them talk after all the games. They talk about having one at each another's back. You have to have all of that kind of stuff. All of that goes into it. But I think it was the defense and then the free throw line. You know, how many times this year you talk about them and say, well, you know, you have the free throw line. Whoa. Maybe I'm getting maybe that was a text. I don't know where that was coming from. Okay. Well, that was coming in from upstairs. But they hung in there and got it done at the free throw line. And got it done. You know, they say defense wins championships, and you got to get the offense to get you there. You got to have them both. I mean, but defense did win the championship for Michigan, and they're the champs. It's great. All the credit goes to these players and the coaches, and it's been a great ride. You know, the students, the popularity of this team. People going out. This is waiting. You know, I don't even know how long. 8 hours just to get into a bar. You know, to watch this game. Of course, going to the games, great. Thanks to everybody for joining us all season long. It is going to be, I mean, this month, it used to, had that song, April in the D. It used to be so much fun. I don't know if the Red Wings are going to participate in that, and I know the Pistons lost tonight, but we have, just with Michigan here, we have a hockey Frozen Four coming up on Thursday. We have a parade, and I do love a parade, that I hope is going to go off on Saturday. And then we could have a championship game for the hockey team if they win Thursday. Is that going to be on Saturday? We're going to have a parade and a championship game. The spring game is right around the corner. And so it's going to be a great month. That's the point. Thanks so much. If you are not a member of the Maize and Blue Review, well, right now is a great time to tell you to join on up. Enjoy the celebration. What's next for Dusty? The portal opens. What will they do? I'm headed to Florida. No show on Wednesday, but I'll be back on Friday. Well, we'll see what the hockey team does at that point. It's been a lot of fun being on after these Michigan games. I can't thank you enough for all the people that went through and contributed, watched, listened, podcasters. You guys are all out there, podcast listeners. Thank you. Michigan wins the Natty. They get it done. Congratulations to the Maize and Blue. And that'll do it. Talk to you later this week. See ya.